Parents of Reddit. What is the best, weird flex, but okay, moment you've seen from your child? Hey guys, welcome back to the internet. I hope you enjoyed the cat videos yesterday because I was too lazy to put together a real video. Well, now we have a bunch of children's stories, and there were more responses for this one than I've ever seen, so we're just gonna be powering through a whole bunch of these. When my son was about 6, he was in the back seat with a friend. He boasted that he once threw up his entire Chinese dinner on the bedroom carpet, and you could see the food and everything. Well, that is impressive. When my kid was potty training, he was in a phase where he loved temporary tattoos. We used tattoos as a reward for a successful potty trip. He got so many, he was covered on both arms, back, and chest. We didn't think much of it, living in Seattle, until one summer day we took him to the wading pool. For one of the first times in public, we took his shirt off, and he strode out into the pool with his toddler abs and Thomas the Tank Engine shorts, looking like he just finished a hard set of training reps at a free weights in a prison yard. Hey, he's just getting ready for when he's older. So tonight, my 3-year-old stopped midway up the stairs and turned slowly to me and said, "Mom, earlier, while you were out, I put on my pants all by myself." I have no idea why he emphasized every word, but then he smirked and turned and kept climbing up the stairs. Big day, this kid's really going places. I mean, if it takes him 3 years to put on a pair of pants, maybe he'll be dressed by the time he's 18. My 7-year-old daughter didn't want our house guest to go into her room, because that might see her awards for good grades, taekwondo belts. She worried they would think she was famous. Sometimes I miss my childish perspective of the world. When my son was potty training, I started letting him do the cleanup, then I'd have to finish. After a bit of this, he figured he was pretty well good to do on his own, and he was a very big boy about it. So for the next couple weeks, he'd do his thing, which always included stripping naked, and then come running out to wherever I was, bend over his cheeks and spread, and shout, "Hey Mom, I wiped my butt all by myself, look." See, I don't get that with Faye here. She just, sometimes misses the litter box and poops over the side. He told me I don't need history class because I know that Hitler got shot in the balls. Huh, is that what happened to him? My son let out a high-pitched screech while playing a video game. I told him, "Dude, knock it off." A few seconds later, I heard him whisper, "It's my battle cry." I mean, I honestly wish I had the ability to screech. My 5-year-old son woke up with his voice hoarse from a cold. I say, "Oh, you've got a cold." Him solemnly, "No, I think I'm a man now." I mean, to be fair, I can go almost a full octave lower when I have a cold. When my sister was younger, she would tell the teacher that my dad was a clown. He actually owns an auto body shop, but I guess she thought he was pretty funny. Apparently the parent-teacher conference was hilarious. "Your daughter tells us you're a clown. What an interesting career." Just remember guys, don't ever wear your clown costume on a cruise ship. There are a lot of members of our family tree, and I'm probably the prettiest one, don't you think? My daughter to me at age 7. She's an identical twin, so kind of a weird flex. I mean, to be honest, I completely forgot that this was about flexing. I just thought these were people telling stories about their kids. So not a parent, but I teach swimming lessons. This one 5-year-old first day of lessons was like, "I'm not very good at kicking." So I said, "That's okay, nobody is perfect at everything." Dead serious, he just goes, "No, I'm perfect at everything." Wow, 5 years into life and he's already perfect. He can only go downhill from here. So I was playing cops and robbers with my son and my niece, both about 3 at the time. They put me in the jail, which was the sofa, and proceeded to walk out of the room. As she's exiting, my niece turns to me with a deadpan face and goes, "Watch your back," and then just leaves. Man, I think some of these kids have, like, double lives. So I had an Amber Alert hit my phone one night while my then 6-year-old was playing a game on it. She asked what that was, and I explained it's a message that gets sent out if a kid gets kidnapped. She looks at it again and sees that it's for a town over 2 hours from where we live. She then asked me why they sent it if it's so far away. I said because they want everyone to look and find the kid. Wouldn't you want everyone to look if you got kidnapped? They want to find the kid so they don't get killed. She leans over to my ear and whispers, "I'm very difficult to kill." Man, these kids sound like they're ready for life. I ran around telling everyone that I was the most beautiful girl in the world. I even told my mom's friend that Shirley Temple was almost as cute as me. Used up all my confidence at 3. Well, I mean, to be fair, that kind of thing kind of stops being cute after you're 3, so maybe that's a good thing. So not my kid, but a friend of mine was trying to teach his daughter to pick up her toys when she was younger. When she didn't do it one time, he told her that he was going to throw away everything that was still on the floor. She picked them up and put them in the trash can for him. I am way ahead of you on this one. So my 8-year-old son's doctor was trying to make him comfortable during an EKG by telling him he had to leave his ear with the doctor. They went back and forth for a while, and finally the doctor said he would trade him an ear for a lollipop. My son said he would not give up his ear but wanted the lollipop. The doctor said, "What? That's not a fair trade. what will you give me for the lollipop? My son answered dead serious, I get the lollipop and you get my respect. Man, he's catching on to your games. So I was throwing my nieces into the pool, and the 4-year-old grabbed a pool noodle and looked right at me to say, today, you're gonna get hurt. You know, I'm not really sure how to take all of these threats by these little kids, because they all seem very sure of themselves. So my little boy is extremely proud of his ability to get the automatic soap foam dispenser to form a poop-shaped form on his hand. I'm sure we've all done it. So my 10-month-old son hates being changed. Recently, he figured out that if he grabs his paws in the death grip with one of his hands, it makes it impossible to get the diaper on him. I die a little inside every time he does this. 10 months old and he's already fighting back, huh? It's gonna be a rough childhood. So not a kid, but when I was 5, I had a mad crush on the 20-year-old daughter of this wealthy family friend of ours. I had asked for her hand in marriage, and she agreed willingly. Playful to her, but fully serious on my part. She was carrying her soon-to-be groom when her mother confronted me. You need to have money if you want to marry my daughter. I looked right into her eyes, and without missing a beat, I reached into my little pockets and tossed her a penny. Her face priceless, my smirk flawless. My game never peaked again. Huh, I bet your ability on coming up with stories never peaked again either, huh? So sassy niece after first day in school. I learned how to count to 11 today. I bet you can't. Weird flex, but wait. I indeed cannot count to 11. Let's see, if you translate that to English, I think it's something like 110? Not a parent, but when I was little, I had a child therapist, and I told her very happily, and even in a bragging tone, that I was only 8 years old, and I already had a training bra. And I remember her just looking at me for a while and going, okay. We all want to feel special however we can. When my daughter was, I think, 8, we were in the pool throwing a beach ball around. I tossed it to her, she catches it, and then says to me, is that all you've got, old man? Man, some of these kids are pretty aggressive. It's not apparent, but as a kid, I apparently drank vinegar straight. Yeah, this is something I wonder about, because when I was a kid, I could put away so much junk food, no matter how greasy or sugary it was. Like, I remember taking those garlic sauce cups that they give you with, like, pizzas, and just drinking those. Actually, I still do that sometimes. So I am the child here, but when I was maybe 3 or 4, I took a dump that was green, which was quite exciting to me at the time. I went and told my mom, I just had a poop that was green, and she just told me, next time make me a blue one. I'm sure he took that as a challenge. While babysitting my cousin, she got really close to me and smelled like rotten eggs. So I asked her if she farted, and she immediately replied, no, that's my breath. At least she's self-aware. Faye has pretty stinky farts and breath. So on my wedding day, the ring bearer, 5 years old, is meeting one of my groomsmen, 19 years old, for the first time ever. The ring bearer walks up, is introduced, and he responds by going, I know where your nuts are, and I'm the perfect height to just punch them. Then he just stood there. Man, some of these kids just show up ready for a fight. My 6-year-old son recently put his foot down, letting me know that it was not okay for me to tell him what he could wear or not, because he is allowed to have his own fashion. Okay, fine. Shorts, sandals, and one black sock it is. Man, knowing millennials, it'll probably turn into a trend before long. So my 3-year-old said to me the other day, Mom, I feel and I don't feel. Like some profound genius. 3 years old and already trying to figure out life. Katie, you have to eat 3 more green beans before you're excused. No, no more. 3 more. I'm gonna eat 4 more. Oh no, you got me good. Interesting rebellion strategy. So my 5-year-old kid is obsessed with cars, lives and breathes motorsport. He's driving his go-kart into the driveway and our neighbor yells over, Wow, you're amazing, kiddo. And the kid yells back dead serious, I know. I'm a better driver than most of the grown-ups I know. He's honestly not wrong. Too bad you're not tall enough to reach the pedals, kid. When I was 6, my absent father came back into my life briefly, and I paraded him around all my friends bragging, saying, This is my dad. I bet you thought I didn't have a dad, but I did. He was gone again within a month. Aw, poor kid. Well, at least he proved his existence. So I'm a tutor, and a while back I had a 10-year-old student who said he had just learned the cool kid's way to write a 7. Good for you, little dude. Huh. Well, have you learned the cool kid's way to drawing an S yet? Just let me know. So my 7-year-old has always been eccentric. I started keeping a log of some things that she said in passing on my phone when she was 3, and there were some good ones I feel apply to this thread. Something smells like chocolate, and it's coming from the inside of my mouth. Yeah, well, I can read blank spaces. Chickens have chickens in their bodies. Most of these are responses to her older sister bragging about something she did to excel in school. How are you guys holding up? I feel like when there's so many short responses, it makes the videos feel a lot longer. When my son was 5, a waitress at Applebee's asked him how old he was, to which he exclaimed, I'm 5, and I pooped today. I think everyone within 4 tables of us was very impressed. Same here, little dude, I feel ya. My son, 4 at the time, was, I guess, trying to impress the 6-year-old neighbor girl. He leaned casual on his arm and said, "I've had a lot of accidents. Pee and poop accidents." I hope for his sake his pickup lines improve. I don't know, I'm sure there's some people who could get a Tinder date out of this line. My son was in the tub and asked exactly how old he was. I say, about 4 years, 10 months, and 4 days. After a few moments of deep thought, I heard him say quietly and reverently to himself, "And I haven't been bit by a single wild animal." Oh man, it still kills me. Don't worry, man, if you try hard enough, it'll happen. I believe in you. I remember being about 6 to 8 and bragging to multiple strangers about how my older, red-headed, and white sister, for context, I was a little brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown-skinned child, was my full-blooded sister, but had a different last name because I thought it was a cool fun fact about my family. Turns out she was a half-sibling, and nobody told me until I was older. Wait, you mean we aren't blood-related? So while singing to myself, my 2-year-old told me, "Daddy, stop. No singing. You sing wrong. Listen me." Well, you just got shut down. I hope you improve your singing next time. So my toddler just threw her dinner on the floor, started clapping, and yelled, "Hooray!" as loudly as her little lungs could possibly allow. Then looked right at me, holding her palms up for a high five. Hey, I mean, she did a thing. You gotta reward her for that. When my son was small, he kept a notebook full of tips. Tips like, never wear a cowboy suit in Ireland. Never stay at a hotel in the woods. When your parents ask you to do chores, pretend to be asleep and they'll forget. Always be good friends with a cousin. Always try really hard. If you invent something, don't test it out with a live person. Don't pronounce mom like mom. Say mum, it'll be cooler. Be scared of the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Make your day better with seafood. Never say you are doing nothing to a parent. Never invite someone sick to your party. Don't use a pencil on thick and fancy paper. Never fight in a war. Always get the biggest bed. If you have a bad taste in your mouth at the beach, you may need mouthwash. And never eat nuts you find in your yard. There's 325 of these tips, and they're all awesome. I will take these tips to heart. The one that really stuck out to me was, be scared of the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I will do that. So my son, who was 4 or 5 at the time, walked into the kitchen and said to my wife, "Give me the usual, but put it in a real glass." She said, "What, your milk?" It was then we realized we had to rein in the iPad and Curse of Monkey Island. Well, when kids experience more of the world through movies than they do through real life, they get a bit of a distorted view of it. When my son was about 5, we went to visit relatives in Washington, D.C. area. We were on the metro when my son eyed a very pretty professional young woman. "I've got a lot of blocks," he told her. "If you come to my room, I'll show you." Then he made motorcycle noises for about 10 seconds. Well, if he's got an invisible motorcycle, you're gonna have a hard time catching him. A friend of mine had 2 young boys. The older one, maybe 5, was sitting with him and pointed at a white hair and said, "What's this, Papa?" My friend said, "Oh, it just means I'm getting old." And his son looked at him dead serious, looked at his brother and said, "Well, I guess it's just us and Mom soon, huh?" Hey, at least he's getting prepared. My 7-year-old said, "I know everything until you ask me a question." Well, okay. I think we all feel that a little bit. My son started 2nd grade this week. A couple weeks ago, the school sent out postcards with a date and time of the open house and his teacher's name. I asked him if he was excited to be in Mrs. So-and-so's class, and he said yes, but he's also worried. I asked what he was worried about, and he said, "What if she falls in love with me and wants to marry me?" I laughed and reassured him that he didn't need to worry, since she's already married. Now that would be an awkward relationship. So when I was an after-school tutor for my primary school kids, I excused a boy to the bathroom. He came back telling me that he made the biggest poo in the world. He intentionally didn't flush so I could come look at it. I told him it was great, but it was art time. He said his poo was art. Hey, sometimes you just have to have pride in the things you make. Well, we made it through all of the responses. It was pretty close to about 50 that I left in the video, so hopefully it didn't feel like too much. I hope you guys like kids by the end of this. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's the end. Talk to you next time.